box and let me know if you can hear and see everything. That'd be great. So let's go through some housekeeping matters. Don't worry about taking notes. There will be a resource kit and a video, and all the documents that will be shared will also be emailed to everyone after this call. I'd also like to make this as interactive as possible. So in the chat window or the Q&A window, which is in the left navigation of the help out, please do ask your questions. And I'm running solo today, but I will monitor those. I'll take a break every so often and flip over and take a look at those and answer all of those. And I plan on spending about 35 minutes going over some of this content that I'm going to be sharing with you. And then I'd like to really jump into a conversation, which answering any questions that you have. But the goal of today's workshop is to provide you with a marketing blueprint which can be implemented for your business. This process and this document has been tested and proven over about 10 years. So a little bit about myself. I'm based here in Los Angeles, originally from the Boston, Massachusetts area, and I've spent about 10 years doing marketing and business development for plumbing companies and HVAC companies. So I've learned a lot, and today I want to share all of my knowledge. So you will walk away from this meeting with a blueprint, as I said, can be implemented for your business. We're going to discuss a goal and roadmaps that can be established. We're going to jump into competitive analysis, how you compare to the other companies that compete in your geographic area. We're going to review the target market personas that we've identified, which work best in terms of doing outreach for your company and generating leads. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about content creation and the importance of creating content on a regular basis. And then at the end, I'm going to walk through a case study, which the blueprint that we're sharing today, we've implemented for multiple companies. We do this on a day in, day out basis, and I'd like to share with you some of the results. And with our confidence, that's one of the reasons why we call it the Bulletproof marketing blueprint for your business. So a little bit of background, marketing has changed a lot just in the 10 years that I've been involved in it. But as a plumbing and HVAC company, when you got started, 10, 15, 20 years ago, even 50 years ago, the first thing you did related to marketing was to take an ad out in the yellow pages. And the bigger your ad, the more times your phone would ring. And we call this the top of the funnel, which is, traditional marketing, which is just creating awareness in your community, which then leads to people giving you consideration for their business and then calling you. So fast forward into the day and age of the internet and these smartphones that we all carry around in our pocket, marketing has changed dramatically. We like to say the funnel has flipped. So if you look here at the bottom of the funnel, where my mouse is located, you can see that there's experience, opinion, referrals, and social media, which is the cusp of that. And when we talk about experience, those can be videos, and opinions can be blogs, and networks can be referrals. And we all know that referral and word of mouth is ultimately the best way to grow your business. So with that funnel being flipped, the goal of today would be to enable that bottom half of the funnel through content, through marketing, through smartphone devices, through the internet. So there are three major components that I would say essentially all businesses need, but they're very important components for plumbing and HVAC. And those would be, the three components are, one is you need to be a credible business and you need brand exposure for your business. People are very, very good at detecting, a shady business or a business that doesn't look credible, especially when we're dealing with homeowners and inviting people into your home. You need to look credible and have the appropriate brand exposure. Lead generation, obviously you need the phone ringing to stay in business. And then the third piece, which is over here on the right-hand side, which is having a solid communication plans. And that's where some of the social media activities are going to be involved. So here's the perfect system. Utilizing pay-per-click, which is Google AdWords, social media, email marketing and search engine optimization, all centered around bringing people back to your business, is the perfect scenario. So we're going to break into the components of each and every single one of these. But before we do that, I'm going to make a couple of assumptions here on this call. What we're talking about mostly today is an outreach marketing plan. And related to internet marketing and search engine optimization and search engine marketing, really there's two components. There's one that's called on-site, which is your website and how well your website is performing. And then the second piece is off-site or off-page. And so the assumptions that I'm making today is the majority of folks that are on this call that are participating are folks who currently have an existing website, who have already followed some best practices related to that website, which I'll touch on. And then 3, have some type of social media and internet presence. So you can see from the graphic here, the idea is more content in more places equals more customers. So related to your business here, which you can see right here in the middle of all of these channels, which you're probably familiar with, some of the assumptions that I'm going to make related to best practices around your website is that you have a good logo, you have a phone number on every single page, preferably in the upper right-hand corner. Some other best practices related to your website is having geographic based pages, and I could show you an example of what I mean by that. And also having service-based pages. Actually, why don't I flip over and show you an example? And then the other best practice is having a blog or some place where you can consistently update some of that information. Let's just flip over and show a quick example of what I mean by having geographic-based pages. So here's just an example of a company that we work with, Courtesy Plumbing, and you can see at the bottom of their website here, they have all of these different geographic areas that they service, and each one is a different page of their website. Similar to their services, that each one of their services has a separate page. That's just a best practice. And when it comes to what we call on page and working with your existing website, a lot of this cleanup can be done in an afternoon or a day. But let's jump into what we're talking about here today, which is sharing with you the blueprint and the marketing strategy. And it's very, well, the way that I like to look at this system that we're going to be going over, it's very similar to how Fred Flintstone drives his car. So let's look at some of the features of Fred Flintstone's car. Well, first off, he has stone wheels, which look really, really heavy. And that being heavy, it takes him a lot of effort to get started. And so how that relates to the marketing campaign is that the way that this system is structured is there's some work on the front end, but just like Fred Flintstone, the way that he drives is he pedals really, really, really fast and he runs really, really fast, which takes him a little while to get the car started. But after that, he is off and running. And similar to the campaign that we're structuring, getting you off and running, and it becomes very, very hard to stop, just like if you've watched Fred Flintstone stop. So let's jump right in. I've broken this down into a couple different sections, and what I'd like to do is share with you, the overview, and then share with you the actual blueprint, the actual document. So you must set a goal and have planning. For instance, if you're driving and you don't know exactly where you're going to go, you're never going to reach that destination. So the first aspect is to set some goals and do some proper planning. We've created a sheet here, which is in the worksheet, which I'll flip over and show you. This is a screenshot of it, whereas these are projections which you set for, say, 2015. So first quarter, I want to achieve X amount of revenue in the first quarter. In the second quarter, third quarter, and then from that revenue number, you can back into how many leads and how many phone calls do I need to generate on a daily weekly, monthly, quarterly basis to help me hit that revenue number. Then you can also set goals for what's the cost per phone call, the conversion rate, how many website visitors am I going to need to get to achieve the number of phone calls. That, conversion rate is calculated by the number of visitors divided by how many phone calls you're currently getting. So if we flip over to the document which will be provided, this here is what I call the worksheet, and this is a Google Doc spreadsheet which will be provided to you as a download as part of the resource kit. But you can see, you can type in your numbers here and calculate exactly how much money you want to achieve as part of your goal setting. Next thing that we're going to discuss is competitive analysis. And competitive analysis is really important when it comes to internet marketing, because there's only one way to really win related to Google, and that's to beat your competitors at the game. So we've created a matrix here. I know this looks like a very, very busy document, but I like to kind of walk through it. Looking at your competitive analysis, when we do this for our clients, or when you're going to do this, there are really three main components. One is your website or your competitor's website. So you want to analyze that to see how well they're doing, and some of the key we'll break down some of the key characteristics that you're going to look at when you're looking at your website compared to your competitors. The second thing is what I call social media reach, which is Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. How big of a following do they have on social media reach? And then the third area is how many reviews do they have online. Reviews are other people talking about the business on sites like Yelp and Better Business Bureau and Yahoo. So really breaking down these three areas. And the reason why we chose these three areas is because that directly relates to how Google views you. When somebody searches a geographic term based upon a service that you provide, call it, plumber San Diego, Google's going to show the most relevant results. So they're going to look at the content that's on the website. They're going to look at how many reviews online, then how active they are on all of the social media platforms. So related to the website, we break it down into, monthly uniques, pages in Google, pages in Bing, how many inbound links, and all of these numbers can be generated for free. There are no tools that just spit all this out. You just have to look them up. And tools like Keyword Spy, they're all free to help you find out some of this information. So back to the blueprint that I'm going to be providing, you can see here over at the tab, we have created a tab called Competitive Analysis, which you type in your business here, and you just fill this out. And what's neat about it is you can search to say, okay, show me all my competitors who have the most amount of links from Majestic SEO, who has the most amount of Twitter followers. So you really get a good lay of the land and what type of work and effort you need to put in to beat your competition and to start eating some of their lunch. And you can imagine that, and I'll put my neck out on the line here, if you're number one in terms of traffic, in terms of page rank, in terms of pages and links and Twitter and reviews, there is no reason that based upon a geographic search, as long as you're following the rules, you will not outrank every single one of your competitors within your geographic target market. So it works. So it's a great place to start. After you really get a good lay of the land in terms of where you stack up based upon the competitors and also what Google is showing in terms of search results, the next thing you want to do is really hone in on your target market personas. And through 10 years of experience listening to hundreds of plumbing related phone calls, we've done I feel as though a pretty good job of understanding who is the target market for a plumbing company. So for instance, if you listen to phone calls or if you answer phone calls throughout the day, every single phone call that you receive is probably going to fall in one of these 6 buckets, which we'll break down and spend a minute or two on. And when I say each one of these buckets, meaning that if the phone rings, it's one of two things. It's one, somebody's trying to sell you something, which I'm sure you receive a lot of those phone calls. But then it's probably going to be, if it's not somebody trying to sell you something, it's probably going to be a homeowner who has a plumbing or air conditioning problem. It could be a real estate agent. It could be a small business owner, a restaurantpreneur. I call them restaurantpreneurs, people who own multiple restaurants. It could be a partner, like a contractor or electrician or a roofer or a property manager. It really is not going to fall too far out of one of these spectrums. So each one of these target market personas, which in the document that you will be provided is listed here, we break down there. I think the most important tab here is the psychographic decision-making process that each one of these profiles have. So I'll just touch briefly on these, but the homeowner, which we call Mary and James, they're really, cost sensitive. They're going to really look at your business's reputation, and they're going to be slow to make a decision. They also might be calling and, trying to figure it out themselves. Now, that's going to be a totally different phone call than getting a phone call from a real estate agent who their psychographic and their decision-making process is they just want to be a leader in the community. They're going to look at your company size. They're definitely going to look at your reputation. They are not cost sensitive because most of the times they're not even going to be paying for it. They're going to be giving you a call, looking out for their client who's going to pay, their client's going to pay, or even the seller might pay to do a camera inspection of the main line to the house. So again, when you answer these phone calls and when you talk with this particular persona, just keep in mind that it's all about making them look good. We've also included some of the key words that they search for is, who do you, I need a good plumber. Who do you know that's a good plumber? Flipping over to the small business owner, this is really a good target market to go after because they really concern about being responsive and speed and really good quality and just alleviating their pain. They're not as cost sensitive as the homeowner. In other words, they just want to get their problem fixed immediately. So that's a really good target market. Now, the restaurantpreneur, I'll try to be nice, but this is the gentleman who, owns maybe 4 or 5 or maybe 10 restaurants, and, he's always going to have problems, but he's going to start talking about cash flow and invoicing terms and ongoing project work and business relationship. Generally can be a pain in the butt to work with, so you have to pick and choose your battles working with these guys. Now, when it comes to the electrician, the roofer, and the tradesmen out there, the contractors, when you get calls from these guys and referrals, they're really concerned about reciprocity and win-win and, help me, help you, and word of mouth marketing. So when you build relationships with these folks, just keep that in mind that they're really concerned a lot about themselves. And this is also good training for your folks who answer the phone because it'll help them understand who is on the other end of the phone and to use the proper verbiage. And property managers and facility managers, we don't need to talk much about this, but these guys tend to be a really good target market. And when we get to social media and outreach, these folks live on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter. I would say I'm more of a LinkedIn guy, so finding property managers within a 10-mile radius and connecting with them on LinkedIn and building relationships with them is really a good practice. We'll get to a little bit of that. So that's a little bit on target market personas, and all of this really correlates. So the competitive analysis, the keyword research, the setting goals, knowing who you're talking to, and knowing what people are searching for, a little bit of keyword research. This is a best practice out there, whereas we've identified the top searched HVAC and plumbing related keywords, and we've added them to the blueprint. And what we suggest here is to develop a matrix of the top keywords for your business. This slide might look really confusing, but let me break it down for you. So on the left-hand side, we have search volume for keywords. Then what we suggest is taking your geographic area. For instance, I'm using Courtesy Plumbing as an example here. They're based in Covina. They service West Covina. They service Pasadena. They service Laverne. I shared with you, all the different service areas. So what I'm suggesting is use a tool like mergewords.com, which is really cool. You can go check it out and type in the words that you're going to merge is your geographic area. For this instance, it's Covina, followed by the keyword, and add that to the column. Now you're going to flip that around. You're going to do the service, the service that you provide, the keyword, followed by the geographic area. Then you're going to flip over and do the next one, which then goes on to West Covina. And you build out this matrix. Let me show you the example. And then I'll flip over, see if there's any questions. But you build out this matrix and you're probably going to get 200-300 keywords. So if you're doing pay-per-click, now you really identified a good strategy for your pay-per-click campaign. I'll touch a little bit on it. The strategy would be to set up an ad group, which is very specific to that city that you service. Again, not, for instance, these guys are in Los Angeles, not Los Angeles, but Covina, West Covina, Pasadena, Laverne, Walnut. And you add all of these top searches and make sure that they're very specific, not broad based. You can see making them specific, exact phrase, and putting them in quotes, and then adding them to an ad group and then writing ads specific to that city, and then bringing them to a specific landing page specific to that city, which lets them know exactly where they are, which has your phone number, builds credibility. That's a good pay-per-click strategy. Now you can also do that with your landing pages. So knowing that, we talked about that as being a best practice, set up pages for the geographic areas that you service, also set up services for the set pages for the services that you provide. So here that you want to integrate some of these keywords into that landing page, including the title and the description and all of that fun stuff. So keyword research is a very important component, and we've done a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So let's get into link building and directory submission, going back to the theme of more content in more places. And it's, I use the analogy of a newspaper. Whereas if a newspaper had great articles and great reporters in it and great content to share, and they publish it on a weekly basis, if they don't get that syndication out to all of the homes and the businesses for people to actually read those articles, no one would ever see them. Same thing with your website. If you don't have your content and your pages syndicated out to all of these pages where people are, hanging out online, i.e. Facebook, then you're probably not going to get that, you're not going to have that popularity. So we've identified over 100 different directories. Now, this might seem overwhelming. Like I said, in the beginning, it's like Fred Flintstone, to really get the marketing campaign going, you're going to have to work really, really hard to get it moving. But this is a part of the blueprint, whereas what we like to do for our clients, and what I'm suggesting is generate a profile on each one of these. And you recognize some of them: Google Local Business, MSN, Yelp, Patch, although I think Patch is out of business, Twitter, Facebook, Foursquare, Nearby Now is a good one. And we've even broken it down into top plumbing and HVAC directories to get your business listed in. And it takes time to generate the profile, but this has a huge benefit to your business for multiple reasons. One, it shows Google that you're still in business, and Google does cross-reference a lot of these particular sites to verify that you are a credible business. But what I like most about this is it gives us a platform to share content. And we're going to get, that's the next piece, is generating content. But if you create a blog post, or if you have a news release, or if you're involved in some type of charity, you now have a platform of over 100 sites to share some of that content. Share a link, which is a form of link building. So Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, Pinterest, Instagram, and then you can get into eLocal plumbers. I call some of these sites media buying sites, which are just other channels, which some of them are free, some of them are paid. But as you go through and tracking and measuring results on how you are doing, you can look at all these channels within your Google Analytics to say, okay, which ones are generating a return on investment, or where are we getting visitors from, where are we building audience from, and then double down on what's working. So that's a process that you really want to get started quickly and in the beginning. And we call it link building and directory submission, and it will be provided in the blueprint. So switching gears a little bit, we're moving on to, after you get the car going and you're heading in the right direction, creating content is a key aspect. So the way that we look at Google and their algorithm and their changes and the penguins and all that sort of stuff is you want to be doing essentially 3 things for your business, which will, in turn, if you're doing them better than your competition, you will win. The 3 things are: 1, you want to make sure your website is operating and it passes, the credibility test, and it has your phone number and meta tags, and it's search friendly, and it has some of your keywords in there and all those sort of things. So your website is working, and it is also updated on a regular basis. The easiest way to update that would be to set up a blog on your website. It doesn't necessarily have to be called blog. It could be called plumbing articles, but to create content and share that, on a minimal basis of at least once a month. Obviously, the more is better, but if you can generate a new page of your website, at least one per month, that sends a signal to Google, which is constantly tracking, when's the last time your website was updated. It's always indexing your information. That shows relevancy, which that's what they're looking for. So that's number 1, is create content for your website. We've listed some titles here, and in the blueprint, the way that we've set this up is, create titles that are well written, and when they're shared on social media, they are more apt to be clicked on. So in other words, you're creating content that people are interested in. Write descriptions and integrate keywords in H1 and H2 and H3. Those are headings. So make sure that your pages just aren't filled with text. Some simple rules is to break it down and use bullets and use numbering. And one rule that I like to follow is never create a paragraph that's more than 3 lines, because people generally don't read on the internet. They just scan. And then create a call to action. And I'll show you this in the blueprint. So that's related to getting content. Now, the other 2 things that's important is, now that you've built all of those online directories, is sharing that content in popular places. So social media is the first place, and then you can go to social bookmarking sites, and you can go to your directory-based sites, but constantly updating your content on multiple sites, which is then bringing back people to your website and creating links to some of your content, i.e. making it popular. The third area, the 3 areas that I was talking about is 1, your website, 2, sharing your content on popular sites, and then the third area is generating reviews, which we'll talk to. But let me just show you the example of this within the blueprint here. So we like to call it top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel. So you can see the top of the funnel is your blogging and your social media. Middle of the funnel would be maybe offering a customer testimonial. So you can see this is the buying cycle, and you want to lead people through the bottom of the funnel. But middle of the funnel content could be downloads. It could be product reviews. It could be a catalog, a brochure, or doing a webinar, best practices. Bottom of the funnel could be, free estimates or a coupon or, free assessment, or there's always a lot of talk about maintenance agreements. So just to keep in mind, hitting people at various cycles of the buying, wherever they are in the buying cycle. Related to blog content creation tool, here's the tool that I talked about, which gives you a basis to create that content, and then you can hand that off to a copywriter or your marketing agency, or write it yourself, but really just to schedule that out. To tie all this together, you want to be doing fairly aggressive monthly tracking and reporting. Related to tracking and reporting, within our marketing agency here, the three key metrics that you'll see in the case study that I'm going to go over that we like to track and measure are, one, how many phone calls are generated on a monthly basis. Two, what is the cost per phone call? So all the money that you're spending on marketing, divide that by how many phone calls. That gives you a cost per phone call. And if you can get in the $13 to $15 range, that's really, really good for a plumbing and HVAC company. And then the third area is your conversion rate, which is how many people are you bringing to your website divided by how many phone calls. So good conversion rates for the plumbing industry are, say, 25 to 35%. So every 100 visitors you should be getting 35 phone calls on average. Now, related to mobile devices, because again, we can deep dive into these key areas, it's generally 35 to 45%, which is really, really high. So obviously mobile is something serious to pay attention to. You can see within our blueprint, I'll share with you just some of the key metrics that we track on a monthly basis. I have an example here. So monthly dashboard, you can keep track of what you're currently spending, break it down into traffic and SEO and website and social. You can also track social media reach, which is as you're aggressively reaching out on LinkedIn and Facebook and connecting with your target market, which is local, you can track your social media reach. And then obviously Google Analytics is the place where you can go to track and measure. So I've had somebody texting me, and we were unable to get any comments in here or any questions. It doesn't seem like the Q&A is working, and I've also been checking the Twitter account. So I don't see any questions, but I do want to walk through the case study, and then I'll open it up again to see if there are any additional questions. So chose a case study from one of our clients where we took this exact plan and deployed it. So let me walk you through, kind of the background here of Courtesy Plumbing. That's the example that I showed you. They're located in Covina, California. And about a year ago, about 1 year ago, Jeff, the owner of the company, came to us and felt as though his spending on advertising and marketing is not being very well spent. So with our 10 years of experience, we took this exact same blueprint, did not vary much at all. Maybe we fine-tuned a couple things here and there, and we deployed this blueprint for his business. And so I'm going to share with you, the before and then the after. And so just like you saw here in today's presentation, we set some goals. We built some plans, which is the blueprint. We overcome some of the challenges related to his Google AdWords pay-per-click campaign, and we deployed our strategy rather than bidding on 10 keywords, which are really, really broad. He was overspending a lot, and we set up some timelines in terms of tracking the success over time. And this goes into a little bit about our firm, which you can read a little bit later on. So the key thing is we set up some KPIs for metrics. KPIs are just key performance indicators. Just as I mentioned, we track the number of leads, the cost per lead, the conversion rate, which I'll show you some of those graphs. We built the target market personas, which you saw there, which are in the document. We utilized social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, to really reach out to the property managers, to reach out to real estate agents, all within a 10-mile radius. And part of the issue that Jeff was experiencing is he's here in LA. His guys, he's got a large team and multiple trucks. These guys were driving too far to appointments, going down into, if you know this area, down into Orange County and over into Los Angeles. So our overall goal is hey, let's just dial back everything that we've done into a much smaller radius, which would then save you time, been able to get more jobs. And there's enough business. And I would, always argue this point, no matter what geographic area you're in, you take a 10-mile radius, there's enough business to really dial it down. So working closer to home, which was part of our strategy and part of our game plan. So what we implemented is exact what we talked about today is that blueprint. We did have to clean up his website in terms of adding geographic based pages for all, and we continued to do that on a monthly basis. We've also created some product based pages, so just adding more content. We utilize social media to share some of that content, get that information out there in as many places as possible. And then email marketing, utilizing email marketing to aggregate reviews. So getting an email of an existing customer and thanking them for the business, and then asking them to post their experience on Yelp or Google Plus. We all know aggregating reviews is a strategy, and it works really, really well. This is just before we worked on the website and then after we worked on the website. But let's talk brass tacks. What we were able to accomplish in a year is over here on the left-hand side, you can see January and February of last year, is generating less than 50 some odd leads. And part of that, he was probably generating more leads. He just didn't have any visibility into how to track them and how to measure. So you can see that the graph is up here and to the right in terms of number of leads. It's a 210% over about a 12-month period. And then lowering the cost per lead. I'm not going to get into the specific amount of money that he was spending on a monthly basis, but you could probably do some math. And the goal was to lower the cost per lead. And these aren't perfect looking graphs and charts, but you can see if you draw a trend line, they look pretty good over a year's time. And this is consistent across, I can't say all clients, but it's pretty consistent across the clients that we choose to work with. And you can see, roughly 25% less spending on marketing. So we're reducing the amount that the client is spending, and yet doubling or growing the percent of business that they're getting from that spending. We took his pay-per-click campaign in AdWords, reduced it by 50% while increasing the leads by 150%. And we did that by that exact program that I shared with you. Identifying the most popular keywords, setting them up as exact search within ad groups, writing ads for those geographic areas, sending them to geographic-based landing pages. And if you remember the landing page, we tell people that you're in the right spot because whatever the most popular image is for that geographic area, we usually pull in and put at the top of the website, which I'll just show you that quick example. Or you saw it before, it's the city of Laverne. It might be a post office, might be a flagpole. And so that's the overview on the case study. And we are continuing to set goals and plans working with Courtesy Plumbing this year to essentially double the results that we've achieved from the previous year. So any questions, comments, thoughts? For some of you folks, you can send me a text or type in the box here, It doesn't look like Q&A is working. I'll flip back to my screen. Hopefully you can see and hear. And unless there's anything else, we finished up a little bit early, but that was the goal. Spend 35 minutes. Looks like we went into about 45 minutes. So hopefully this was helpful. All of my contact information is located here. Obviously, we provide these services to our clients, and I am open to answering any questions that you have or any way that we can potentially help out. Everybody who signed up will also get an email with the video that was created today, the resource kit, which can easily be downloaded and shared with your marketing team, shared with your marketing agency for that matter. And I'll also provide the case study and some additional resources. So I want to say thank you everyone for your time. I appreciate it, and we'll be in touch.